our studios in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, it's the Longwood Rotary Club Home Edition on Thursday, April 16th, 2020. Normally meeting at the beautiful world-famous Longwood Botanical Gardens. Guests today are Michael Gidlewsik, April Ennis-Pierson, Barry Kanofski, Rotary International President Mark Malony, and special guest, past District Governor and Rotap supporter extraordinaire, Paul Quintavalla. Plus, be sure to hang around for our selfie show. Please welcome our host for today's meeting, Longwood Rotary Club President, Bob Curran.
And good morning, Longwood Rotarians, and welcome to the April 16th version of our Home Edition Club meeting. We have, as always, a full agenda for you this morning, and we're going to start you all right off with our thought of the day, Mike Gidlewsik.
Good morning, Rotarians. The thought for the day is the paradox of our age. We have bigger houses, but smaller families, more conveniences, but less time. We have more degrees, but less sense. We have more knowledge, but less judgment. More experts, but more problems. More medicines, but less healthiness. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but we have trouble crossing the street to meet a new neighbor. We build more computers to hold more information to produce more copies than ever, but have less communication than ever. We have become long on quantity, but short on quality. These are the times of fast food, but slow digestions. Tall men, but short character. Steep profits, but shallow relationships. It's a time when there is much in the window, but nothing in the room. And that thought is from His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Make it a great day.
Thank you, Michael. A lot happening in the community. And actually, as you're listening to this, the Longwood Rotary Club Foundation is meeting under the strong direction of Vicki Garrett. And we're looking at how to set a giving strategy for the community in this difficult times. But right now, we're going to hear from Rotary International President Mark Malony.
Greetings to all Rotarians, Rotaractors, and members of the family of Rotary. As I have watched the many ways you and all within the family of Rotary have connected the world with your actions and your compassion, I have never been more proud to be a Rotarian. The COVID-19 global pandemic is threatening our health, our safety, and our way of life. But while this crisis is serious, we know that this challenge is a temporary state. We will get through this by working together and taking care of each other, just what Rotary members do. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said recently, and I quote, "COVID-19 is a health threat unlike any other in our lifetimes. But the spread of the virus will peak and our economies will recover. This is a time for prudence, not panic. Science, not stigma. Facts, not fear." Following the science leads us to some clear, simple actions. We need to do our part to flatten the curve of the COVID-19 spread. By now, we all know what that means. For Rotary clubs and districts, it means holding virtual meetings or postponing in-person meetings and gatherings until a time when the science says it is in our collective best interest to reconvene. Already, many district governors and other district leaders have canceled district conferences which they have been planning for months. Our Rotary Action Plan calls on us to increase our ability to adapt. For clubs, that means finding new ways to connect and meet. We are looking to you for innovation and are eager to share your best ideas. Please take the time in these online meetings to determine how your club can help us through this crisis. While maintaining physical distance is now the norm, we cannot detach ourselves from the world. I encourage you to do everything you can to help your communities adapt to these difficult and unusual circumstances. Even in the midst of so much uncertainty, we have all seen examples of how people all over the world are safely stepping up to demonstrate service above self. These are challenging times, but Rotary has survived even worse times. We helped keep society together through 2 world wars, a Great Depression, and other catastrophes. And our commitment to disease prevention and treatment has helped mitigate situations like the one we are experiencing now. Let us not forget our commitment to eradicate polio. The vital infrastructure our effort created and continues to sustain is assisting countries around the world in their COVID-19 preparations and response. This is why we cannot step back from our support and commitment to Polio Plus. Together, we are united to stay safe, but also to help others to stay safe. Together, we are united to stay healthy, but also to help others to stay healthy. Together, we are united to stay connected, but also to help others to stay connected. Together, we share the Aloha spirit. Join me as we take action to lead communities both near and far as Rotary connects the world. Mahalo and thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Interesting story in these times. I had a business meeting Tuesday, and we all had to get together in some format because we needed some original signatures. So we met on the rest area of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. We had a Ford F-150, and we each took a spot, Max, gloves. And we took a spot around the flatbed, the back of the pickup truck, and we passed documents around that we needed to sign. And so should have taken pictures. I think we're going to look back in a couple of years of how to do it. Well, we didn't have cigars or beer, but maybe next time. So we're going to take you now to our member spotlight, and that is April Ennis-Pierson.
Hello, good morning, Rotarians. I missed you all very, very much. Thank you so much for the opportunity to get a shower this morning and brush my teeth and put a little deodorant on, just like you guys. And I'm laughing at Dave Harridan, who's so gracious in recording me this morning. I hope you're all well and you're safe and your families are safe and you're all very healthy. Pretty sad times we're in right now, and I hope for brighter days ahead. Anyway, I'm April Ennis-Pierson, and I've been a member of Rotary since last May, so I guess I'm coming up on 1-year anniversary, and it was a fantastic decision to get involved with Rotary. It's been a real bright points in my week when I get to meetings and see everybody, and so I thank you all for that. I'm very proud of being part of a fantastic club. So just a little bit about me. I actually am a Unionville person. I grew up in Unionville. I went through elementary school at Unionville Elementary. I went to middle school at Unionville Patton Middle School, and then a graduate of the high school. So I'm a proud Unionville Indian. I played hockey and lacrosse in high school and in middle school, so I carried that with me when I decided to go to college. Started out my collegiate career at a great state school, Slippery Rock University. Mark knows it. We knew we were kind of there at the same time, which was cool. I did transfer. I played hockey and lacrosse at Slippery Rock, and then I transferred because I was a communications major in radio, television, and film, and Slippery Rock said, you probably want to go to an industry school, so a big city. So I headed to Temple University, and that was a great move. I played lacrosse at Temple D1, and it was fantastic. Great experience, and I'm still proud of that school and certainly never looked back from there. Did get a degree in communications, in radio, television, and film. So what do you do with that? I moved home just like most college kids out of Philadelphia. My dad said, what are you gonna do? and he told me to go over to WCOJ and get a job. So WCOJ, for a lot of you may not, or you may remember it, it was the local AM station here in the county, and it was located at the time in Coatesville. So I went over there, and my dad said, go get a job, and I did. I went over there, and Art Douglas hired me that day. So I came home and told my dad, yeah, I got a job at WCOJ Radio. So that's where it all started. And I was hired as the sales assistant. And that lasted a day because I was on air the next day doing voiceovers, and then I was in the newsroom. And before that, an amazing guy named Jerry Lenfest owned the station. So he sent down that we had to do a little local news program on the cable channel, Channel 7. So I was asked to do that, and I became the Channel 7 news girl. So I was all around the county doing broadcasting work. I was doing a show called Eye on Chester County. It was really great. And we were in 64,000 homes at the time, and it was like a feature program, so it featured all really good news. And sometimes, even to this day, someone will say, oh my gosh, aren't you the Channel 7 news girl? So that's kind of fun. It made a difference at the time. So, but all good things have to end. And WCOJ did eventually kind of close up shop along with Channel 7. And I went on to nonprofit work, which I never looked back on that broadcasting career. It was fantastic. But I had done it, so moved on to nonprofit. I became the executive director of the Main Street program in the borough of Oxford and led the revitalization project there for about 10 years. We had great success, a great turnaround effort in the borough, which continues today. And I'm thankful that I was part of that and have made some really amazing friends. And then I went to the American Cancer Society. I was the major gifts officer for the state of Pennsylvania. I received my credentials, a CFRE credential in fundraising, handled some major corporate partnerships for the ACS. So a really good opportunity for me. I did make a decision about 8 years ago to go into handicrafters back here in Chester County, where I took the position as the director of development where I am today. So I fundraise for folks with special needs and disabilities. A lot of you already know that. Handicrafters is a great place. We do supported employment for individuals with special needs and disabilities, and it's been around a long time here in the county, about 60 years. And it's a rewarding position. Kind of sad I miss them. We've been off for a couple of weeks now. I called a couple of the clients today and said hello. So we'll get back in business just like we all will. So that's my professional life and where it's kind of all gone in that journey. But I'm very proud of the fact that I've been married to my husband, Stephen, for 25 years. We are in confinement here together, which gets a little trying. But we managed to do cross a lot of projects off the list, like many of you probably have done as well. We moved back to Chester County. We lived in Lancaster County for 24 years. We raised the kids there, and we never looked back. But the second part of our life, we wanted to move closer to my parents. And so I'm back in my old stomping grounds and here in Unionville, and I love it. And we're having a good time. And I have 2 kids. My children are Summer and Tucker. And Tucker is a sophomore at Bloomsburg University. And my daughter Summer is just about ready to complete her grad school program in sports medicine at Westchester University. So those are my guys, my people, and they're pretty awesome. And I do have 2 dogs, a cockapoo named Smedley, and a golden retriever named Teddy, and they're a lot of fun to be around, and we have some good walks right now, so that's good. Well, that's a little bit about me. Hope you enjoyed it, and I really, again, look forward to seeing all of you soon, and be well. Please be well. Take care. See you soon.
Thank you, April. And now we're going to turn you over to our Sergeant of Arms doing his online debut, Barry Kanofski.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. This is Barry Kanofski. Remember me? I was a member of that club for a few years. It seems like I've been away forever. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. It's good to be back. I hope everyone is safe and you had a happy holiday. But today is Thursday. Yesterday was Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Friday. Just to keep you on, to let you know what day it is. Did anyone expect when we changed the clocks, we'd go from standard time to the twilight zone? Thoughts to all the spouses who have been told for months, I'll do that when I have time. When I was younger, Zoom meant, how fast can I go in my car? Now Zoom means, how fast can I connect to my family in New York and Chicago? Every few days, you ought to try on your jeans, because pajamas will have you believe all is well. I hope the weather is good tomorrow for my trip to Puerto Backyardo. I'm getting tired of Los Living Room. Well, unfortunately, I ran out of toilet paper. Now I'm using lettuce leaves. Today was just the tip of the iceberg. Tomorrow remains to be seen. Might think I'm Jimmy Kimmel or something. When this is all over, our club will be throwing the biggest St. Patrick's Easter de Mayo of July party that anyone has ever seen. Well, we're all thinking of you and all of our first responders and workers who are trying to keep us well-fed, and keep us safe. Remember, no storm lasts forever. Hold on, be brave. This morning's speaker is Paul Quintavalla. Paul and his wife, Jeannie, are native New Yorkers. They have lived in Broomall for 30 years, where they raised 2 sons and now have 4 grandchildren. Paul has been an active Rotarian in the Broomall Rotary Club for 10 years, has served in every officer role, created community service projects, and continues to chair the Rotary Foundation Committee. And since 2009, Paul has served the Rotap International, raising funds, and has participated in 5 overseas missions. I give you Paul Quintavalla. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It's nice to be back at the Longwood Rotary Club, even if it's only virtually. I've come here for a few reasons. The first one is to say thank you. This club has generously supported the Rotap missions, including the last one, which was Africa. So I'm here to say thank you, to tell you what we did, and also tell you a little bit about a little secret of what we do on these missions that we never talk about, because I think it's important. Most of you have heard about Rotap. I've spoken before, but I think it's time I backed up a little bit of that. The first thing to say, of course, is that we go to missions at the request and support of local Rotary clubs in third world countries. That's not an easy thing for them, and it requires a lot of wonderful cooperation. All of our missions are funded by Rotarians, either in the United States, Canada, or Europe. And many of those clubs do sponsoring as we do. I have been asked recently about joining the Rotap Committee and perhaps going on missions and help raising funds. We enthusiastically ask you to please raise your hand and step forward. Now, to business. What is a cleft lip? What are the causes and the consequences? Well, when the human fetus is being formed, the face comes together from 2 directions. And in some children, about 1 in every 650, it doesn't work right, particularly around the lip and the palate. It's least common in blacks of Africa, then it becomes more common in Europeans, more so in Asians and South Americans and North Americans. It's most common in isolated communities like island nations like the Philippines, and again, in small remote villages in North and South America. So the consequences are the important part. First of all, it's frightening. To see a child who looks like that, see an adult who looks like that, is often repulsed. In many countries, this is seen as something of a horror, and the children infants are killed. Not to go into that, but infanticide is not uncommon, and we live with that. Well, let's take a look at our first slide. This child has a cleft lip, and as you can see, it has not come together. The important thing to know is that everything is there for a normal lip. The exterior skin, the internal mucous membrane, the muscles, the fatty tissues, etc. It's just not organized correctly. What a surgeon will do is to take it apart, pull it back together, and sew it back together correctly. And it's a wonderful thing to see. Here's a good example of it. This little girl had a simple cleft lip, and there's a picture of her only a few days later. Cleft palates are different and much more deadly condition. And that's a hole in the roof of the mouth. This illustration shows it as a pretty big one. Sometimes they're small, and sometimes they go well up into the nasal area. An operation like that will take several hours. Sometimes it has to be followed by a second and third operation. Well, we also occasionally see children who are not as small as we'd expect. And these older children require more advanced surgery. They take a good deal of time. The horrible thing is they'll never speak correctly. They'll never speak well. You'll never see a child like this answering a telephone because it's just bad. When they're infants, because the roof of the mouth is open to the sinus cavities and the nose, infants really can't take in food. And when they get a little older, they can take in food. It'll often get clogged up into the sinus cavities, causing inflammations. The food particles will rot, and there'll be infections. One thing after another. It's just awful. So I'd like to show you how far we go in addressing the needy. When there is a mission, and people locally know that there are American surgeons willing to do surgery, everyone comes out because they know we have that kind of generosity of spirit, and we'll do what we can. This is a lady who's an adult. I'm going to say she's in her mid-30s. And I love the picture because it occurs to me when she goes home, her sisters see her, and her neighbors see her, and the people at the market. Well, you understand what I'm saying. It's a change of life for her. We also see children very often have things like webbed fingers and webbed toes. One might think you just make an incision and it clears it up, but there are nerves and muscles and tendons, etc. It's a job. We see a great deal of scarring from burns, particularly in Asian countries, North Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and we see this to some degree in South American countries. What happens very often is children, toddlers, will see a fire burning on the floor, and they'll be attracted by the burning embers and fall in. This young lady was preparing dinner, and the kerosene lantern burst and burned her lower portions of her face and throughout her chest. When scar tissue forms, it contracts. It contracted so much in this young woman that she was unable to close her mouth for 7 years. She came to us, and the first surgeon who worked on her took flesh from the back, the small of her back, and brought it up and closed it a bit. And after 3 operations, she was well enough that she could join us on the 4th mission, where she worked as a volunteer, and she still comes up. Some of the other things that we see people coming to us for treatment are things like tumor removal. We see keloid scarring. And this is an unusual thing, and this we do see very often in Africans. It's basically scar tissue that just doesn't stop growing as a scar. It's one of those things that we can correct and hope that it doesn't come back. Now, last September, you sponsored a mission to Africa. And the photograph you see here of the housing gives you an idea of what it's like. I have to point out that 80% of the homes in Liberia are grass huts. It was a colony, and it's its own independent nation. They use American currency. They read English. What they speak is not exactly what we would understand as English, but they understand us quite well. It's an interesting thing. The Africans who you see stand here by the hospital are the local Rotarians. They're just like you and me. They're business people, they're professionals. They pool their monies, and they try to pull things together for an acceptable mission. and we think it was a good one. I should say that about 5 years ago, we were there, and at the time we were leaving, Ebola was just beginning to happen. We actually saw people coming into the house bleeding, the hospital, bleeding profusely. The surgeons and nurses, the staff generally stayed on, and about 8 or 10 of them, unfortunately, were killed. Well, first thing on a mission, of course, is that we examine the children. Rotarians participate, taking hemoglobin tests, taking blood pressure. The doctors examine the surgeons to see what has to be done. They make notes and start their files. Anesthesiologists listen very, very carefully. Unfortunately, about half of the children who visit us, must be turned away. Low hemoglobin, congestion in the lungs, a cough, heart murmur, half a dozen things that will have us turn away. And I can tell you it's heartbreaking to see the parents and the children have to go. And hopefully we'll be back the following year to do what we can. Well, we thought we'd show you some of the pictures of people we met and we accommodated. As a young man before surgery, we didn't have one after, unfortunately. He's a very sweet kid, got to be very, very friendly. There is a good photograph of a before and after that I think you can enjoy. And this photograph is just maybe 1 week later. I'll ask you to pay attention to this child's nose and see how collapsed that is. That requires a great deal of work. A bone has to be broken, moved, reset, etc. This child can't be healed in one operation. We'll have to come back in the following year to get it just right. Fortunately, we keep records, and we keep very good records. The picture of the surgical room is unusual. You rarely see windows in a surgery theater, but this one is a little different. Well, our next mission will be November of this year. We'll be going to Luxor, Egypt. Hope all goes well with air travel and ground travel, but there's 2 Rotary clubs are waiting for us to get there, and I'll be part of that. I thank you very much again. I look forward to seeing you in person next time. Enjoy your day.
And thank you, Paul, for an excellent presentation. And now it's time for our Longwood Rotary Club selfie show.
Trees of green and red roses too. I watched them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. See friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do?
And now it's time, remember, for Happy Dollars. I'm sure those envelopes are bulging right next to your computer. And if they are, the number one simple solution is another envelope for more Happy Dollars. Hey, next week we got Paul Redmond, the director of Longwood Gardens, is going to be our main speaker. And now I'd like to take it out with the four-way test being led today by our newest Rotarian, 5-month-old Mason Burke Harridan. Stay safe, everyone.